Hello and welcome back to Learning the Good Life. It's a special one this week. Becky, my lovely wife, has agreed to talk us all through the amazing bird life that we get here. But just check out this shot of these deer that we saw from our living room window the other day. We will never forget how blessed we are to live in such an amazing abundance of nature and the wildlife that we attract here. For instance, here's some really grainy footage of the heron again. But this week, Becky, over to you.
Right, hello everyone. It's me this week. Very good. Nick asked me to do a bit more of a video on birds that we've got in our lovely surroundings. And I've become a bit of a bird nerd over the last few years. So I'm just going to keep this video just to me talking, and I'm just letting it run on the bird feeders that I have outside of my office. So I've never really been into bird watching, and then during COVID, when I had to work from home for the first time, I put some bird feeders outside the window of the room I was using as my office, in our house down in Surrey, and just kind of watched what happened and just kind of got into it from there, really. Down in Surrey, we were in a kind of market town, and we had like a decent sized garden, and we did have some birds, kind of all the normal standard ones. The one I really enjoyed watching, which we haven't got up here, is we had a lovely jay that came to visit, which I thought was a really beautiful bird. But the most exciting thing I saw on those bird feeders in Surrey was we had quite a lot of squirrels in our garden, and they had babies. So I used to watch the squirrel babies come and steal all the bird feed, which isn't the point of a bird feeder, but there we go. And then when we moved up here, my office kind of has this view. It's just the next room across, really. And with this tree, I just thought it was a really perfect place to put some bird feeders for me to watch whilst I was working. So that's what I did, and I even started a little diary of kind of jotting down the birds up here. And I can see, I just went through it this morning, and I set up the bird feeders as fast as I could on the first working day after we moved here in November 2022. So I was clearly keen to get going with it. So yeah, this is where we are now. I feed all through the year. You can see here, hopefully on this video, I've got 4 feeders hanging from this tree. So I've got a peanut hanger, which I didn't have to start with. I brought that in a few months after we moved. I've got kind of a mixed seed hanger, which you can see there's a traffic on at the moment. I've got some fat balls, and I've got a Niger seed feeder, which again I didn't have when we first moved here. Greenfinch on the peanuts, brilliant. So yeah, they're the 4 feeders I have. I feed all through the year. I'd say the mixed seed, where the chaffinch is feeding at the moment, is the one that goes down the quickest. I've filled all 4 of these feeders up yesterday at lunchtime. It's kind of nearly 12 hours later, and you can see that seed feeder is more than half way down. Pretty much same with the Niger seeds. So yeah, it's a really lovely spot. It's quiet. We're south facing here. The orchard is below, drops down below where we are, and then the burn beyond it. So and there's the greater spotted woodpecker on the peanuts. Hello. That's the female, because she hasn't got the red head. So I'll talk about them in a second. What a good shot that is, lovely. I'm so pleased they came. Oh, I love my woodpeckers, they're brilliant. So, other things to say just in terms of kind of setup and where we've put these is, last year, you can't quite see it from, I think, this camera angle, but last year we did quite a lot of kind of trying to keep on top of the garden and get things down a little bit, and I did quite a lot of trimming. I actually bought myself this year a book on rewilding, and Nick and I are both trying to take a bit of a more naturalistic approach to the whole of the grounds. And so one of those for me is I'm not going to trim the edges of the grass parts of the garden on this top area of the garden this year. And I think what that's going to do, particularly for this area around this tree and where the birds are feeding, is it will give the ground feeders a lot more cover and a lot more comfort to come and feed. We get loads of ground feeders. I'll talk you through what I've seen here in a second, but I think that might really encourage them to feel kind of super safe. So that's the setup. This woodpecker is loving those peanuts. So yeah, let me maybe talk through a little bit of what I've seen here over the last 2.5 years. So I'll start with all the common stuff. So we get all the tits, so the blue tits, great tits, coal tits, and my favourite are the long-tailed tits, who come and visit periodically in their groups. I think the most I've seen a long-tailed tit group was 14 of them all together, which was absolutely amazing. They come and go, they're not here all the time, but they are lovely when they're in their periods of visits here. We get all the normals, we get robins, blackbirds, lots of chaffinches. We had lots of dunnocks in the first year, and I've seen much fewer of those this year. Again, I'm wondering and hoping with the longer grass around the tree, maybe we can encourage them a little bit more back to us. We have loads of tree sparrows and house sparrows, but particularly tree sparrows, they're wonderful to watch. A lot of them live in the hedge by the kitchen garden. So woodpecker back. We have enormous amounts of goldfinches. So like I said, I didn't set the Niger seed feeder up straight away, but once I did, I mean, goldfinches are here all day, every day. The most I've seen in one time were 20, about 6 on the feeder, and then the rest kind of all around the tree and the bushes around it waiting to feed. We have an enormous amount of goldfinches here, which is wonderful. Siskins we've seen a few of, less so again this year. The greenfinches are back. In fact, just before we started filming, there were 2 finches on that peanut feeder, so the greenfinches are here. And just in that family, the ones that I've really taken a joy in seeing and they're new for me are yellow hammers. So ground feeders, really lovely to spot. Beautiful, bright yellow of the males. Plumage is just a joy. They're in and out a little bit, but they have been here the last few weeks, so that's been really nice to watch. What else have I seen? So the woodpecker who's feeding here, this is a female. I've had a woodpecker here since I put the peanut feeder up. Again, I didn't do that straight away, it was a few months in, but since then we've had a woodpecker feeding. So the first year there was 1, last year there was 2, a male and a female, and they bred. And so there was a baby. It was really funny watching this baby woodpecker come and learn how to feed on the feeder. But we still have that breeding pair here, so I'm very much hoping for a baby woodpecker later in the season. But it's really, like, they're a real privilege. I love hearing them tapping on the trees. But it's lovely that we've got the pair. Other things I've seen, very elusively and not that often, but there is a bullfinch. I see him maybe once a year. If I'm lucky. I saw him once when I was doing yoga out of the window, and once out of this bedroom window, and he was on a tree. Beautiful, super elusive, just lovely that they're here. To that we've got a bullfinch somewhere. There's a type of thrush or fieldfare that I've seen a couple of times, but I haven't been quick enough to grab a pair of binoculars and kind of give it a really good look to see what it is. We've also had bramblings here. We have pied wagtails and grey wagtails here as well, which is lovely. Misnamed because they've got yellow on them, but very nice. And then we've got, I think it's a wren or a chiffchaff, and again I haven't been quick enough to spot it, but we do get those as well. There's other stuff, magpies, crows, pigeons, Starlings we had last year, but haven't seen any this year yet. Collared doves we have. So yeah, it's just a very busy set of feeders, and kind of busy all day, which is lovely for me, because if you look up or you're on oh, there's a yellowhammer and a greenfinch on the peanuts. The yellowhammer's just flown down onto the floor. Brilliant. Yeah, it's just lovely. You can just, if you're having a cup of tea, they're just lovely to watch for a few minutes. So yeah, amazing how much kind of joy they bring. I get it, it's lovely. Other birds to talk about, which obviously kind of aren't around these feeders, but birds of prey are new to me, and we have some, so it's just been, when you see them, I just mega. We have buzzards here, so they're the most common birds of prey we see them quite often and hovering over the fields, and they use kind of the burn as like their motorway. I've watched them fly in that pattern. Nick watched a buzzard kill a pigeon last year outside of his office. So lots of buzzards around here. I've seen a sparrowhawk once, which was last March, fly in and across and land on a tree just the other side of this smaller tree. I haven't seen it since. There's a tawny owl here that comes and goes, but you hear sometimes. I haven't seen it. And then the one I've seen, I think I've only seen it once, but there's an osprey. I've seen it once with I presume a trout, some kind of fish in its claws, that was sitting on a fence post for a while, and that was mind-blowing. It is a massive and impressive bird of prey. So I'm always on the spy for an osprey when I'm having a look around. What else to tell you? We have kind of our other birds. The pheasants are here, obviously. Come and have a little potter and nab some seeds from under the feeders that have dropped from time to time. We have some ducks, just normal ducks on the burn through the spring and summer, so they'll be back soon. And we have in the big hoch, it floods over winter, or when there's been very heavy rain, and so when that happens and we have standing water in the big hoch, we have a heron that comes. So we've named him Horace, and he's rather lovely. Other things in terms of supporting the birds, we take Fawzie's dog hair out and hang them in a little hanger that's on that hanger out there. Nick's got some footage of that, which I'm sure he'll crop in at this point, of getting the birds, and they can use that for their nests, which they have done. We put it out and it goes very quickly, which is awesome. I also noticed, and I said to Nick the other day, he's been cutting the grass without collecting it at the moment in this early part of spring, and actually that's been super lovely for the birds. I saw a female blackbird with a massive beak of cut grass in her beak the other day, and flew off, and obviously it's for her nest, and came back and took some more. So I think that's been a really good lesson for us, for the birds as well, at this time of year when they're nesting, is to just not collect the grass at all and give them plenty of nest making material along with the dog hair. Summer birds that we're not there yet, but I'll try and get some footage for you over the summer of them. We get swifts and swallows and house martins here in the summer. They perch up on the telephone wire. They love our outbuildings, so that's really lovely when they're here swooping around catching all the insects. We also get bats here, and I think with our woodland they've got a very nice little place to live, so in the summer we see lots of bats swooping around at dusk. We went on holiday to Orkney in the summer, and that was because I'd got into bird watching. I dragged everyone on a ferry to a different island early in the morning, and we went and watched some puffins. It was incredible. Again, Nick might interpose some footage there of some beautiful puffins that we saw, but that was a big kind of life moment. Tick it off a list. From a bird watcher's perspective, they are a delight to watch. But Orkney's got Arctic terns, Manx shearwaters, oyster catchers, curlews. We saw a hen harrier, cormorants, common terns. That it's just a different type of bird watching there, and I loved it. Really, really good fun. Love Orkney anyway. My daughter and I do the RSPB Birdwatch every year. We started it in COVID and we've continued it up here. It's a lot more fun up here, I'll tell you. Lots more interesting things to report back to them. But we really enjoy doing that and being part of that. I'm really keen to encourage the bird life here. So if anyone's got any hints or tips or things we can do, especially to encourage my dunnocks back, I don't know where they've gone. I'll tell you a couple of things on my haven't seen yet and I'm desperate to see yet, which is tree creepers, which I really thought I would have seen given where we are and how much kind of tree and woodland we have around us, but I haven't. So that's one on my list. The other thing is skylarks. I think they're all around us in the farmland. I just haven't seen them. I think I just need to sit next to the field and with my binoculars and just find them, but that's another one. But yeah, I think we're just super lucky. I mean, I think the big thing around here that we haven't had before and we're super lucky to have is the different types of habitat. So we've obviously got the fresh water of the burn. We've got the woodland. A lot of that is completely untouched at the moment, the main piece of woodland that we own. So that's kind of a super quiet, safe space for birds. We've got the farmland kind of wrapped all around us. And then we've got the kind of the meadows and the huts as well. So super varied sets of wildlife. Obviously massive, well-established trees, high trees, smaller bush trees, the banks. So just endless habitat really, which I think is why we've got such a variety of bird life here. But I'm under no illusion of how privileged we are that we have that and that we're lucky to see some of these birds that we've got. So it is just fantastic. It costs money to feed these, so obviously I've got 4 feeders on the go. I feed all year round to be consistent and so that they know that they've got a consistent line of food at the different times of years when they're breeding or nesting, or it's winter, it's maybe a bit harder to find what they need. So I filled these feeders up this time yesterday. Niger seeds and mixed seeds are kind of halfway through. At the moment the sun's rising just after 5 and setting about 9 just after, so the window for them to feeding just is very large over the summer. I mean, it's about 3 o'clock in the morning when the dawn chorus starts at high summer. So yeah, but it's just super enjoyable, and I've really got into it. So yeah, that's a little intro to our birds, and I'll give you some updates, like I said, maybe in the summer when the summer flock are here. I hope you enjoyed that. I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for watching. See you next week on Learning the Good Life.